everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited about today's video because it is currently October 7th, so I'm already a week into October. I know I'm a little bit late to the game, a little bit behind, but that's okay. I was sick for a while, so now we're better and we're back. But October is the month of Victober. Victober is an annual readathon hosted and created, I have their names right here, by Katie from the channel Books and Things. This year a co-host, one of the co-hosts is Howe from the channel Howe, Roz from the channel Scallydandling about the books, and Marissa from the channel Blatantly Bookish. This will be my first year, hopefully, like officially participating in Victober. I have been aware of Victober for years. Last year I did pick up The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, kind of inspired by Victober, but I didn't mention anything about it on my channel, I don't think. Yeah, and this year I'm like really hyped about it, bro. I'm like so hyped about it. So, because I quite love Victorian literature. I haven't read like a bunch of it, but I've read a decent amount. And I really think the Victorian period was so rich in its art, its science, its developments, but so rich in terms of the literary landscape. Boy, there are so many beautiful and extremely prolific authors that have come out of that time period. So there's so many books always that you could potentially read from the Victorian time period, and I don't know if you could tell, but I'm just like super excited about it. I've been hyperfixating for like a week and a half, and this is all that I have been doing. So today I will be doing my TBR video. So it's kind of like a pile of possibilities. I'm a mood reader, so we'll see what happens. Yes, they do create a few prompts, which is exciting. So I tried to fill in some of the prompts or all of the prompts. We'll see again what I end up accomplishing. The first prompt is Kate Howe's prompt, where she wants us to read a book where religion is a component. And she, as she mentioned in her announcement video where she was giving recommendations and talking about her prompt, she said that pretty much every Victorian book will have religion featured to some degree. So you could pretty much put any book in this category, but a couple of the books that she recommended were Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and Adam Bede by George Eliot. Those two books I have on my potential TBR. I have already read Jane Eyre. I read it a long time ago. I read it when I think I was in high school. I think it was like 17 when I picked this up. It wasn't assigned, I just picked it up on my own. But I'm really due for a reread. I don't recall loving it as much as everyone else online loved it, but I think maybe that was just a product of me. I think that was my fault at the time. This was my first Victorian novel that I had ever picked up. I was a different kind of reader at the time. I was a different person. I don't know. I've been thinking about this so much. I really want to reread it. So potentially, I'm really kind of leaning towards this one. But also, again, like I said, Adam Bede, which is a novel by George Eliot, who's like one of my favorite authors of all time. She wrote Middlemarch, which is my favorite book of all time. That is such a phenomenal book. I've read The Mill and the Floss. I've read Silas Marner. And I want to read all of her books. I own them all. And I want to, at some point, read all of them. I think this was her debut full-length novel, because she has Scenes of Clerical Life, which was her like debut published work, which is kind of like 3 novellas, I believe. But Adam Bede, let me read the back. Pretty Hetty Sorrel is loved by the village carpenter, Adam Bede, but her head is turned by the attentions of the fickle young squire, Arthur Donnithorne. His dalliance with the dairymaid has unforeseen consequences that affect the lives of many in their small rural community. Adam Bede carried its readers back 60 years to the lush countryside of Eliot's native Warwickshire and a time of impending change for England and the wider world. This is a powerful portrayal of the interaction of ordinary people, which brought a new social realism to the novel in which humor and tragedy coexist. Okay. Yeah, faith in the figure of Methodist preacher Dinah Morris offers redemption to all who are willing to embrace it. Okay, so there's our religious lean. Either way, these are the two books that are my potentials for that prompt. So the second prompt we have is Marissa's prompt, again from the channel Blatantly Bookish. And the two books that I have as potentials for those, one I'm actually already reading because I'm listening to it on audiobook, but I'll mention that later because I'm reading it for a different prompt on the list. And then another potential book for that is Dombey and Son by Charles Dickens. Now, I have kind of like a weird relationship with Charles Dickens in that I've read a couple of his books and I don't necessarily know if I love his writing style. But again, I really want to. And I also own all of his books. So I would like to read all of his books at some point. But there you go. Dombey and Son, the reason that I'm leaning towards this year currently is because the group read for this year's Victober is The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, which is a retelling kind of Madame Bovary, which is the book that I'm currently reading, again, because of this whole situation. It's a retelling of Madame Bovary, but everyone in all of their Victober videos this year has been saying that it spoils Dombey and Son. So if you want to read Dombey and Son, read Dombey and Son first. And I want to read Dombey and Son. So that is why, you know, I'm really kind of leaning towards picking this up even right after Madame Bovary, but we'll see what we do. But Dombey and Son, I believe we are following the Dombey family, Paul Dombey, who's a business owner. He really cares about his business. He has a son and a daughter, and he really puts all of his attention into his son because he wants his son to take over the business after him. But I think, from what I understand, the daughter is the one that takes kind of a liking to the business, or it's kind of about her story, how she's like neglected and maybe she becomes interested in this business. Again, I'm totally unsure. I haven't read it yet, but Dombey and Son. The next prompt is Katie's prompt, and that is to read a Victorian book that plays with form in some way. And I literally, like, without her recommendations, would have had no idea what to pick. So one of the books that she recommended for this prompt was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Now, this is a book that I have been wanting to reread for a long time. And since it fits this prompt, since it's like the month of October, which is the perfect month to read this atmospheric, moody, dramatic, tempestuous novel, I really want to reread it for this Victober. We'll see what I end up picking up, you know? But this is the book that I have to fit that prompt. Roz's prompt is that she wants us to experience Victorian drama. So either like reading a play, watching an adaptation, those situations. So my plan is to watch the adaptation of The Importance of Being Earnest. That I think came out in like the 2000s. I think Colin Firth is in it. Let's look that up. Oh, it looks like Reese Witherspoon is in it. Colin Firth, Judi Dench. Wow, I haven't seen that yet. I actually haven't experienced that story at all. So that's my plan for this prompt. I am looking forward to it. And yes. The bonus prompt for this year's Victober, I'm reading it on my phone, I'm so sorry, is to read something by Wilkie Collins or by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in honor of Jennifer Brooks and Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, who were two booktubers that were really active participants in Victober who passed away, unfortunately, this year. I am planning on picking up, as I mentioned previously, a Wilkie Collins book, potentially even two this month. I'm just going to say this briefly because it really makes me almost cry. Totally makes me cry. I'm crying. I loved Jennifer Brooks. I really, like a friend, looked forward to her videos all the time. Anytime she posted a video, I like immediately wanted to watch it, or I immediately did watch it. So I really miss her videos. I've actually been kind of like watching them a little bit in the past couple of days because of this year's Victober, and it's been making me super emotional. So moving on. Yes, so I'm reading The Woman in White. I'm interested in picking up more Wilkie Collins books. Yes, the reason that those two authors are for that prompt is because I believe those were respectively Alice's and Jennifer's favorite Victorian authors. So yes, I think that that is a really fantastic prompt. Yeah, like I said, the group read is The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I haven't read anything by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, so I'm really hoping to get to that, but I do want to read Dombey and Son first. And I am reading Madame Bovary, and I'm almost finished with it. I think I have like 70 pages left, so I'm hoping to finish it tonight. Loving Madame Bovary a lot. I'm thinking it's like a 4-star read for me, but really enjoying Madame Bovary. Really think that a retelling of this would be super interesting, so it makes me even more excited to pick up The Doctor's Wife. A couple of extras I actually want to add to my mood TBR for Victober this year would be Thomas Hardy's Far from the Madding Crowd. I've owned this book for a while, for a few years actually, and I've been wanting to read it for such a long time. I've heard this is Thomas Hardy's kind of most lighthearted read. One of the first Victorian books that I read right after Jane Eyre was Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and I'm surprised at how much I really loved the writing style. I don't think I loved the story of Tess of the D'Urbervilles. It was there was just like no hope to that. I didn't like the message that came forth with it, but anywho. Loved the writing style, really looking forward to reading Far from the Madding Crowd, where we follow Bathsheba Everdeen, and I think she has kind of like a love square. She inherits a farm, and she's got like a bunch of romantic interests, which is super exciting. And then 2 other potentials that I have on my mood TBR for this month are Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, which I did buy as well when I purchased The Doctor's Wife, which is still, I guess, coming in the mail. Hopefully it'll get here soon. But yeah, Lady Audley's Secret is a sensation novel that I've heard about for a long time. A lot of people love it. I'm hoping to love it as well if I get to it. We'll see when I get to it. Also, Sylvia's Lovers by Elizabeth Gaskell, which just, the premise of this just has me hook, line, and sinker. North and South is one of my favorite Victorian novels. Absolutely. Think about it all the time. It's another one I really want to reread. This is the story of an ordinary girl's tragic passion for a man who disappears. This is her last completed novel, and I think it's, so a modern revenge tragedy in which well-intentioned actions have unforeseen and terrible human consequences. Sylvia is loved by 2 men, her serious cousin Philip and the charismatic sailor Charlie Kinraid. One of them betrays her. Oh my gosh, it's against the backdrop of the Napoleonic Wars and the ever-present threat of press gangs. The story darkens when Sylvia's father is roused into vengeful violence. Cannot wait for this one. We'll see when I get to it. Again, the books that I'm leaning towards are the ones that fulfill the prompts, but I like to think about options. You never know. So yeah, please let me know what you are planning to read for Victober, if you are planning to participate, what your favorite book written in the Victorian period is. I would really love to know. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.